Hi guys, how are you doing? This is from techcentury, and the dust has settled after the Apple event yesterday announcing the new iPads. And so today I'm here to answer the question, which one should you buy? The iPad mini with Retina Display or the iPad Air? To get started, let's start out with the situation last year. So last year, when the first generation of the iPad mini was released, the situation basically was very clear. So if you didn't want a Retina display, if you wanted to spend less, so $329, then the iPad mini was your tablet of choice, and I actually picked one up and I really loved it. I made a full review on it as well as some gaming demos, and it was an amazing device, especially just how thin and light it was, and then also the price, of course. But then again, if you really wanted performance, then you still had to buy the iPad 4th generation, because the processor in the iPad mini was the same that you'll find in the iPad 2. So overall, the user experience due to the slow processor wasn't the best, but the hardware was already pretty amazing despite the Retina display lag. So now, 1 year later, and the situation has kind of changed. While the first generation of the iPad mini was more aimed towards competing with the Nexus 7, now we see actually an iPad mini with Retina display that's priced at $399 and therefore is basically closer to the full-size iPad Air, as it's now called, than actually the Nexus 7 2013. So besides that, also the specs are very similar. We'll find an A7 processor in both of the tablets, so no longer do you have to downgrade in terms of processor and performance in the iPad mini. Now you actually get the same performance, actually even the same display resolution, so you'll even get a higher PPI on the iPad mini. So now is of course the question, should you get an iPad Air for $499 or should you get an iPad mini with Retina display for $399? Now again, as with the first generation of the iPad mini, the hardware basically hasn't really changed much in terms of dimensions and weight. The iPad mini is the perfect choice if you want a tablet to actually play games on. It's really light in the hand, and then of course also for watching video this is excellent. On the other hand, if you really just want a bigger screen, then the iPad Air is definitely what you should go with. Now of course we also see a significant change in terms of weight and dimensions. This iPad Air is now actually only 1 pound, it was 1.4 pounds before in the iPad 4th generation, so big loss of weight there, so it's definitely a lot easier to hold in one hand even for a longer period of time. But still, if you're for example sitting in bed reading, then probably the iPad mini is the better decision, not only because it's lighter and slimmer and just smaller overall, but also because it's still even lighter and now even has a higher PPI due to the same resolution on the 7.9 inch screen. And again, also for gaming, this should be absolutely amazing because we now get actually 8 times the graphical performance of the first generation iPad mini. So this iPad mini 2nd generation with Retina display should be an absolute beast and could definitely replace something like, for example, a PlayStation Vita, or of course also a Nintendo 2DS, 3DS, whatever. There are enough games out there like FIFA, Modern Combat, Real Racing, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, that are absolutely amazing to play on those iOS devices, and with the iPad mini you definitely can't go wrong. And so this really is a tough choice, there's no doubt about it. I personally have to say that the iPad mini, the first generation, to me always felt like the right size for an iPad, so I'm definitely more tempted towards getting an iPad mini with Retina display than I am to get an iPad Air, even though that's released first. So this is definitely difficult not to get one. Also, we get €100 or $100 price difference, which certainly isn't too much if you consider that the iPad mini used to be $329 before, but then again you really get the same internals from the iPad Air now on the iPad mini. And so I honestly have to say, for me, the iPad mini 2 with Retina display is what I would pick. But let me know what you think down below. Maybe you just really want the extra screen real estate, or maybe just 10-inch is the perfect tablet size for you. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say. Also what you think of the iPad mini 2 with Retina display. Is this also your tablet of choice, or is it just crazily overpriced in terms of the competition, like the Nexus 7 2013? Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to the channel. See you next time.